Hi guys, so at the beginning of this year I covered a story about how the port of Holyhead in Wales is worried about its future as the so-called Landbridge is in doubt. Just to remind you, the UK Landbridge was how most haulage arrived in Europe from Ireland. Hauliers would cross the Irish Sea, rolling off in Holyhead, and then head south to Dover, eventually crossing the Channel into the rest of the EU. But since the beginning of this year, volumes via the Landbridge have dropped significantly. What Irish hauliers have done instead is switch to more direct routes to Europe via ports in the south of the country. Well, at the time I commented on how I believe things would probably get worse for Holyhead, which incidentally voted for Brexit. So we have some data from the Irish Maritime Development Office. It says that the friction caused by the UK's departure from the European Union has resulted in a significant alteration to freight traffic between Ireland and Great Britain. This body confirmed previous predictions that this would result in a steep rise in traffic instead between Ireland and other EU countries on the continent. Imports from Britain have dropped 35% in the first 5 months of this year, based on checks on goods coming from Great Britain, which came into effect on the 31st of December last year. The agency also said in the first 5 months the number of shipping routes directly to Europe has doubled. Roll-on, roll-off, where the container starts and finishes its journey on the same truck. It also applies to fixed and articulated lorries doing the same activity. This traffic between Irish ports and British ports, including Holyhead, was down 20% when compared to 2019, while volumes to EU routes were up 99%. The body confirmed that the biggest factor here was how traders have more or less abandoned the land bridge. While Britain would act as a type of bridge between Ireland and the rest of the EU, the use of the land bridge in the past was important because it provided a much faster route to mainland Europe. But due to post-Brexit red tape and delays at ports, hauliers prefer routes that they can be sure of the time of arrival, amongst other things. It must be remembered just how much trade took place between Ireland and the UK. Back in 2019, before Britain left the EU officially, and before the pandemic, 84% of all roll-on, roll-off volumes were to British ports. That number has dropped to 67%, which is still a significant amount. But it's likely to drop further as the full impact of Brexit unfurls. So I want to show you this report from the Irish Times. It was a video uploaded onto their website back in 2018, where they went to Holyhead, which has been deeply impacted by Brexit, and they spoke to members of the public there. But I want to show you this part of the report. I'll leave a link in the description so you can watch it yourself. But this part of the report where a Welsh politician speaks to students in a high school.
We are right on the frontier of the European Union here in Holyhead. And it's a major point of trade between us and Ireland. And at the moment, we don't know how that trade is going to happen from March next year, like now. Given, right, that we are one of the main ports to the European Union, farming's really important on Anglesey, and farming's really dependent on the European Union. So it makes sense for Anglesey to be in the European Union. So how did Anglesey vote? No, leave. Yeah.
Voting tomorrow. Who votes to leave? Who votes to remain?
And they all put their hands up. So the first question, of course, who would vote to leave? Who would vote to remain? And the majority, of course, vote to remain. What's significant about this is that it's young people. Young people wanted Wales to remain in the European Union. The older generation, it seems, not all of them, of course, but the majority in the older generation wanted Wales to leave. But who's going to suffer the consequences? Who is always going to suffer the consequences? The next generation. And we can apply this to climate change, we can apply it to Brexit. This is the future of Wales. And they have had freedom of movement taken away from them. They're starting to see, as I covered in the report, trade between Ireland and Wales decrease. The port of Holyhead has an uncertain future. And it's been taken away from them by the older generation. People who will, in many cases, not be around to see the full impact of Brexit. And I've covered it before how some business owners were saying, I'm voting to leave for my children, for my grandchildren. Yes, you made the lives of your children and grandchildren more difficult. You've taken something away. For what? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?